Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fujitsu Impact Series. I'm Carlos Andre, Global Thought Leadership Evangelist at Fujitsu. Thank you all for joining us today. Many organizations have already explored computer vision, and in many cases, they've seen strong results. But as we grow and business expectations increase, the real challenge is no longer simply what vision AI can detect. It's whether those insights become part of operational workflows and create measurable business impact. So the question becomes, how do we move from isolated pilots and technical proofs of concept to a repeatable path for production, scale, and real operational value? And that's exactly what we'll explore today. And to do that, I'm joined by two very knowledgeable experts who work closely with customers on these challenges and bring complementary perspectives on Vision AI and Fujitsu's Amalgamation AI approach. So first, I'm joined by Matthias Leupersberger, a product manager in Fujitsu's Technology Strategy Unit. Matthias brings an experience across research, product management, and technology strategy, including he has previously worked with a Silicon Valley startup and has a PhD from UC Berkeley. I'm also joined by Christian Munch, an AI research solution architect at Fujitsu. Christian brings experience across mathematical modeling, optimization, and AI systems, including quantum-inspired computing, LLM, machine learning, and product-ready AI architectures. And he also has a PhD from Technical University of Munich. So thank you both for being here. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Good to
Okay,
be back,
so
Carlos. Good to be back.
it's a pleasure to have you. All right, so let's get started. Matthias, I'd like to begin with the big picture. Let's look at the reality on the ground. So enterprises clearly want the benefits of computer vision, but why does deploying and scaling these custom visual inspection systems become such a frustrating and expensive bottleneck for leadership?
Look, Carlos, the bottleneck is certainly not the interest in AI. It's really turning the vision AI into something that reliably works inside the real operations, right? So if you look at the reality on a factory floor, environments change constantly. Products change, the lighting change, setup change, tech operation times changes. So for traditional computer vision models, which are model-centric, every new use case, every larger change of the environment means more labeling, more data, more tuning of the models, more retraining. And that also means a lot of AI engineering effort goes into these. And so that makes certainly pilots possible, but then scaling across lines, plants, and so forth makes this workflow very expensive and slow. So there's a very simple issue for leadership here is how do we move from these isolated AI demos to measurable gains in quality throughput and operational agility.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And why is this becoming more urgent now as companies try to move from AI pilots to operational impact?
That's a great question. I think the urgency here is really because the technology is ready, but at the same time, the business cost of slow adoption is becoming harder and harder to ignore as many companies are starting to adopt these technologies now, right? So there's two clear industry trends. So one is these foundational computer vision models like vision language models, state-of-the-art segmentation tools, they're really now strong enough to handle real-world variation, let's say, in a retail shop or in a factory floor. And at the same time, practical compute is now increasingly deployable. So getting a high-performing GPU server into an on-prem environment or deploying a vision system on a private cloud is now very, very straightforward. So these are the two key trends. So the question really has shifted from can AI work here to where can I move with AI to quickly improve KPIs safely. And so I think what customers really need is this low friction path from idea to very quick validation. And then most importantly, the third step to operational deployment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So before we go deeper, let's make the concept very clear. So Most AI can detect patterns and recognize what's happening. But the bigger question is whether it can connect that observation to operational context and business action. So Matthias, for someone hearing about this for the first time, what's the simplest way to understand amalgamation AI for vision?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So amalgamation AI is a fundamentally different approach to traditional computer vision. So in traditional computer vision, the approach is custom model centric. So you have your models, you collect some data, you fine tune it to solve that problem. But in amalgamation AI, we are taking the problem, decomposing it into different parts, and then using basically standard state-of-the-art models to solve these sub-problems. And this decomposition means, as we call it, we generate a blueprint, and this blueprint then solves the computer vision task. And because we are not fine-tuning any models, that means we don't need to collect a lot of data. A few sample images oftentimes are enough. We are much faster to validate, and we don't need a lot of AI expertise on the customer side, right? So the key idea is really compose the right models into a blueprint. Don't retrain or fine tune models from scratch every time.
Right. So would you say this is the missing link that we were missing from computer vision?
Yes, so that's basically equipping now computer vision with the agility to solve problems on the shop floor very quickly.
Okay, thanks, Matthias. All right, so Christian, here's a question for you then. So without going into too technical of terms here, what has to happen behind the scenes to connect what AI sees with what business needs, what the businesses actually need to do?
So yeah, in order to solve your actual problem with AI, you first need to understand the business rules and the workflows and the data. Then you also need to, of course, understand what the cameras see, because only what can be seen can also be detected. And then you need to, for example, also define if you need additional cameras. And finally, you can then define what you need to detect or observe and connect all of these things to solve the actual task. I can also provide an example. For example, you want to measure workers' productivity on a factory floor, but you have a lot of occlusion, so things cannot be seen all the time. And so even if you train a model very well on that, you still might not get very high accuracy. But for your business goal, you don't even need that high accuracy on every frame, but you can basically only detect certain events like the start of an action or the end of an action in order to then detect the action of the worker. And so training would basically not solve your problem here, but with amalgamation AI, with our logic first approach, we can still solve the problem with very high accuracy. And then you can, in a second step, also integrate your business logic and trigger, for example, actions to also increase productivity by automatically sending notifications to workers and distribute them among factory lines, or, for example, also stop a factory line completely if there's any severe security issue.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Christian. So that was very clear. But to make this a little more tangible, Matthias, can you give us a few more examples of what this could mean in real operations?
Yes, so I think, Christian highlighted it well. I think the value is not just better detection, higher model accuracy, but it's whether or not you have faster, more consistent actions in your daily operation. So first, for example, is replacing any manual checks with automated inspection can improve the speed and also in many cases improve the consistency. Second is then handling the variability, right? So as products are changing, parts or stuff like that, then you need to be able to quickly adapt with your computer vision model. And then third, I think that's the most important point then is you need to integrate this directly into the workflow. That means with alerts in the, let's say an SAP system, or guide the operator action. In some cases, we also created a custom UI tablet to guide the worker directly on the shop floor. So this is then this step where you make the vision become operational, right? It helps then the teams to act faster, reduce errors, and these are then the outcomes which improve the KPI and that most importantly drive the ROI for the AI investments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Matthias, what would you say are the 2 or 3 business results that matter most to customers using this approach to Vision AI?
So I think Christian and I, we are technologists, and so we care a lot about the model trends, state of the art, GPU deployment. But customers really care less about what models you're using, but most importantly, what is the speed to value? Then what are the adoption frictions, right? Once it works, how can we deploy it? And then, of course, measurable operational impact. So these are, I think, really the key things here. And speed means really they want a faster path from ideation to testing in real environment, in their does this work for in my factory or in my environment. Then lower friction means oftentimes these are not AI-first companies where they think about data distribution and have a large engines of data labeling. They also don't have many AI specialists, so they need help with the proper IT system integration.
Right.
And then in the end, we need to get to an operational KPI impact. That means fewer miscounts, better quality, less work, scrap reduced, etc., etc. So these are the 3 points to make it successful. And then the 4th point, I think, right, once it works in one factory or in one line, maybe how do you scale this, right, to your whole business or your whole organization? So these are, I think, the important points to highlight here.
Okay. And building on those outcomes, why do they matter at a leadership level?
I think at the leadership level, that's a very good question. It's all about de-risking the AI adoption, right? Especially with requirements to run things maybe on-prem or in general the costs are high, and so you need to see a path from pilot to enterprise scale value, I think, as quickly as possible. So again, sounding like a broken clock here, but we need to move the quality, throughput, scrape, and so on, not just showing in a dashboard how accurate our models is. So leaders really need to prove also that the solution can then scale quickly. And I think these are the 2 main points where Amalgamation AI can really reduce the adoption risk, right? We can start a pilot quickly. We don't need a lot of data from the customer to get an initial POC off the ground. And then the 3rd point here is that we need to highlight also Fujitsu's capability, right? We are not just providing this AI technique. We have a world-class system integrator, a unit which can help deploying it, integrated with the customers, and then also operationalize in their enterprise environment. So I think this combination of our fundamentally different approach to computer vision and our end-to-end integration capabilities, these things combined are really helping AI leaders, right, or a leader to de-risk AI adoption.
All right. So that was very clear. So up to this point, we've spoken about individual AI capabilities, but the larger challenge is that businesses operate across entire ecosystems of systems, partners, processes, and physical environments. So, Matthias, how is this ecosystem complexity increasing, and why is it now so important to connect observations to business action?
Yes, it's a very good point, Carlos, you have here. So operations become more connected, right? So the problem is not only getting the computer vision problem right, but also coordinating across different systems, different teams, and different processes. So yeah, we see that manufacturing environments are getting increasingly connected systems, so shop floor equipment, enterprise workflows, quality systems, even with suppliers and other operators. So in that environment, just the detection alone is not enough. If the results stay isolated in one process, it's not gonna help. So the value really comes from the observation needs to trigger the right next step, and then be fully embedded in their workflow and update maybe the process decision. And again here, this is why we are focusing on this end-to-end path, right? From the observation to the enterprise action, not just the computer vision layer itself.
Okay, all right. Now, I believe we also have a short video, right, of how this is working?
Yes, let's look at the trailer together and
All right.
see how we work with SAP.
At Mahindra & Mahindra, during the final inspection stage, each vehicle must undergo identity verification. Until recently, thousands of cars had to be inspected manually every day. This was a cumbersome process. Workers had to compare complex IDs with system records, slowing down the line and adding unnecessary time and effort to their day. SAP helped Mahindra & Mahindra automate this process. Combining SAP Agentic AI and Fujitsu's physical AI model, real-world car scans can be analyzed and verified with SAP system data. Thanks to integration with SAP, the system records are automatically updated with the results of the inspection. The worker then sees confirmation of the result on their phone. Looking to the future, the next phase is to expand AI-driven inspection to other use cases. Embodied AI enables integration of additional edge devices and robots to support workers with more complex workflows to increase speed, accuracy, and overall quality of the production process.
Okay. Well, that was very interesting. Yeah. So, Matthias, would you like to comment on the video we just saw?
Yes, so I think this is a really nice, polished trailer, which we presented this joint work with SAP on the customer Mahindra at the SAP Sapphire event in Orlando. And again here, the detecting these different VIN numbers, which are in different parts of the car, is actually quite a tricky computer vision problem. We were able to very quickly, actually in a matter of just a couple weeks, get to a solution with over 90% accuracy and also quite robust. And then we successfully integrated through agent-to-agent communication, successfully integrated, I guess, our Amalgamation AI agent with their new agent system at SAP, which then handles all the downstream integration into their supply chain. And this really shows then, right, from the picture to the vision detection to then the correct routing of the car in the very end. This is the end-to-end integration you need to make these projects successful. And I think I'll explain a lot, but let's also use the opportunity to directly hear from the customer itself.
Matthias, now I'm sure many people are watching and they're thinking to themselves, so there's so many vendors out there that offer AI, analytics, and computer vision. Why couldn't a customer simply solve this with a standard vision AI platform? What's different about Fujitsu's approach?
Yes, so I think many off-the-shelf solutions just stop at the vision platform model, right? So these vision platforms, they give you a model and then certain accuracy, and that's it. But Fujitsu focuses on the full path from task definition, to the enterprise action. And so also, as I mentioned before, these traditional systems, which are model-centric, need to collect data, need to train the model. Then these oftentimes several experiments, so need to fine-tune properly all the settings in order to be able to deploy it. And then if something happens, a different part goes through the line or dramatically changed in the environment, you need to start that process all over again. Whereas Amalgamation AI, we are blueprint-centric. So you can simply describe the task with natural language, provide a few reference examples, and we can generate a blueprint by combining the right tools. And then if something changes, we can just quickly update the blueprint instead of collecting lots of data. So that reduced data burden really accelerates the deployment and makes adoption much easier when something in the factory conditions slightly change. Let's say you move from the line in factory A to an almost identical line in factory B. You don't need to collect lots of data to adjust. And then again, Fujitsu's additional advantage here is the enterprise integration. So you're getting everything out of one vendor here. So from the AI innovation to the product to the delivery team, everything is just out of Fujitsu. So that makes it, I think, really attractive to connect this AI output into the real customer workflows and get real impact on the KPIs.
So not only does it resolve everything for you, it's simple even where you can get it all in one place. Okay, wonderful.
Exactly.
So Christian, now a question for you. From a solution perspective, what does this example show about why context matters beyond the standard computer vision?
I think Matthias already answered many of the points, but I want to add one point, which is that you can also deploy multiple blueprints using the same underlying models. With traditional computer vision, you would basically train one model for each use case and then deploy those models next to each other. And since we use the same underlying models with Amalgamation AI, you can basically deploy different solutions using the same models on the same hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another thing is, I think we can take the SAP project as an example, where we detect VIN or numbers in VIN plates, QR code stickers, and chassis engravings. I think traditional AI computer vision solutions might be able to detect the numbers themselves with 100% accuracy. But in this specific case, we don't want to detect all the numbers, but only a subset of them. And so this is
Right.
where context and logic becomes necessary in order to not train or even overtrain your models, but solve your problem by incorporating business logic. And also, if you, for example, then get a different VIN plate layout, you would need to retrain your model. In our case, we can just add a little bit of logic and deploy the thing like in a couple of minutes, basically.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
Excellent points, Christian.
Yeah. So when a customer sees this and thinks, wow, this looks promising, how do we actually get started? What does that first step usually look like, Christian?
Yeah, so we usually start with a customer call, obviously, where we want to understand the customer's business and identify potential pain points. And once we have identified the customer's business challenge, we also offer customized demos, for example. Then we define clear objectives and measurable outcomes in order to start into a project. So we also can define success. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we show, yeah, go ahead.
Maybe to add here, I think, Christian mentioned, I think then the next key step is you need to start and focus on one operational problem, one process, and one measurable outcome, and then nail this, and then keep also in mind from day one the design to scale into production. I think this is a mistake I see a lot, that they want to use AI everywhere. But I think you need to focus in the beginning. Getting it integrated once is the hard part, and so that first a POC. Everything should be very focused, but always having the scalability in the back of your mind. So I think this is the recommendation from my side.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so before we close, I'd like to leave our audience with something practical, but also simple to remember. So Matthias, what's the one takeaway or action you'd like to leave the business leaders with today?
I think the key takeaway is that with Amalgamation AI, you don't need a lot of AI expertise, and you don't need to have a lot of data to get all the impact from computer vision AI.
Okay, and Christian, building on that, what should teams do next to turn the first opportunity into real progress?
So first, you need a clear business owner and a defined operational process that you can integrate the solution into, and a measurable outcome, as Matthias already said. And then, you need to start small enough to prove value quickly and understand the outcome still, to not try to solve the full thing in the area from a start. And by that, you also reduce risk. But you need to be general enough to scale in the case of success and start deployment immediately after that.
Okay, fantastic. So if your organization is looking to move from AI pilots to operational impact, start with one business problem, one operational process, and one measurable outcome, and then design the route from proof value to production from day one. All right. So to learn more, please scan the QR code you should see on screen shortly, or the link that we'll leave in the comments below. And while the broadcast is coming to a close, our speakers will stay on the chat for the next 20 minutes to answer all of your questions live. So please start sending them through right away. Matthias, Christian, thank you very much for being here and for sharing such valuable perspectives. And to our wonderful audience, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Fujitsu Impact Series. We look forward to continuing this conversation on how leaders can move from complexity to action. So because business advantage won't come from AI alone, it'll come from how leaders connect observation, context, and action into measurable operational performance. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us once again, and we'll see you on the next episode.
It's been always a pleasure. Bye-bye, Carlos.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.